So good day, hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Amanda O'Shea from the Serendipity Experience, and this is the 90 in 90 series. And I have lovely Debra Simmons. Debra, welcome, welcome, welcome from sunny, where are you? Devon? Where are you today?
North Devon, yeah.
North Devon.
Yeah, in North Devon.
I know that you've just come off retreat. Where was that? Was that local? Was that local to you?
Yeah, it was literally just down the road.
Ah,
yes, very local to us, just down the road. Near Barnstable.
Oh, very close. Oh, yeah, my cousins live down that way. So it looks sunny there today. Sunny Devon. Sunny
It's actually very beautiful. It is really, I mean, it's very, very cold because, you know, it is October, so it is cold, but it is beautiful and sunny. And actually, while we were on the retreat at the weekend, a few of us went swimming in the sea here, and it was absolutely beautiful.
I saw photos of you. I just looked at it. Country Ways. Is that where you were?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I wondered, were you in like a thermal pool or it's still. I mean, I was swimming here the weekend, which was beautiful. The sea was beautiful, but it's a bit nippy today. I've got my first cardigan wearing of the season. I quite like it. I quite like cozy and.
Me too.
I like that. Socks in bed. Nice. I like it. So, Debra, it's lovely to see you again, and it feels like a while since we had a conversation. And of course, it's funny, isn't it? Because when we first met, and then we spent a week where you came and joined me as a guest facilitator on the Love and Clarity retreat last year, 2018. So then it feels suddenly that we spend a lot of time together, and that's it. It seems like, you know, we are, we're, and then we did after that week, we did a lovely conversation, keeping in the conversation. We did a lovely series where I'm just going to shut my door actually, because I've got people drilling outside, I can hear. So we had this really nice keep it in the conversation webinar going on, and then suddenly we go away, we'll do our own thing, and that's what we do. And I've had the pleasure of seeing you again at Viva, and seeing you around and seeing you online, and you know, but I remember that when we first met, was I on your Lovely People webinar?
Yes, you did. You came on. Yeah, we did Lovely People webinars, and you came as as a guest on our Lovely People webinar. Yeah, I had the delight and the pleasure to speak to lots of lovely people. It was really nice getting to know different people and to hear how different people share this understanding, because I think it's really key that people hear it in different ways, because different people resonate with different people, and you know, you hear something in what someone else says, and it kind of sets that dominoes effect. Oh, that means that, and that connects to that, and that makes sense. So yeah.
And I suppose that's what I'm doing here in this 1990, having these 90 conversations with 90 fabulous people. So whether you're fabulous or whether you're lovely or whether you're whatever words we use, I think it's that we're speaking to people that have you know, are sharing a message, people that are pointing people back to truth, people that are positive mentors for us in life, you know. That's and then it's funny because while you might say that, oh, you know, the lovely people, I have a friend who always says, are you going on one of your happy groups? Are you going on one of your happy trainings? He says, are you going on? And that's what she calls them. I think it's quite sweet. So so I love the title that you've given to this little chat we're going to have, which is acceptance. Do you want to tell us, have you seen something fresh for yourself, or have you, was there, you know, what's behind giving that title today?
Well, I've just come back, as I said, for over the weekend. We held a retreat, and one of the topics that there always seems to be, once you get a group of people like that and you start having conversations, there seems to be a theme that runs through. I've noticed that with various retreats that we've done, and one of the themes that seemed to run through this retreat was acceptance. And it was really, really beautiful to kind of see people in the room who had been striving to be somewhere, striving to be different, striving to be better, striving to not suffer in certain ways, to kind of just let all that go and just breathe for a minute and just accept ourselves exactly where we were in that moment. And it's just, it feels so freeing. Even we come into this conversation, well, I certainly came into this conversation because I was in quite a mess, and I wanted my life to be different, and I wanted to rescue my children, and I wanted to help my friends, and they're all really beautiful. All of those things, they come from a good place, and it is really lovely to help people, to help ourselves, to help others. But it was really freeing to just kind of spend that time and spend that weekend just saying, right, let's just breathe and accept everything just as it is in this moment. Just accept it as it is. And somehow that kind of felt like it really recharged our batteries, and I know a lot of the times in this conversation, what we point towards is something 180-degree different to what we would normally expect to do. Like when I often talk a lot about relationships, and I say relationships aren't about two people, they're just about you, whereas we point to the opposite, in the opposite direction. And that felt really like, instead of all this striving, instead of trying hard, instead of really going out and doing and that, just have a moment to just accept what is right now. Just accept it all. And although in some ways that might sound counterintuitive and might be, I can't just accept this if I don't, work towards it, if I don't fight for it, if I don't try hard, if I don't do this, it's not going to happen. And it can feel sometimes as if acceptance is maybe the coward's way, or maybe, too light, we're not doing enough. And yet I think when we do that, it allows us space, it allows us that peace. And what was coming, what I noticed during the weekend over the retreat was that when we just kind of actually just stopped and said, all right, what if I'm perfectly okay the way that I am, with all, with all the things that I do wrong, with all the things the mistakes that I have made, the mistakes that I might make, what if I'm just okay? What if that's perfectly all right, and I can accept myself like that? And it seemed from that space, people were then having, it was like their mind, it allowed their mind to clear somehow. It allowed that wisdom to bubble up. It gave them space to have that and see something new and see something fresh. And yeah, so it was a really beautiful space.
How lovely. Did you find that you sort of fell into natural pockets of silence? Did you have those sort of moments where the whole room kind of goes, oh, what's just happened then?
Very much so. And that was an interesting one as well, because the retreat was a real mixture of people who have been around, this understanding, and have been around spiritual practices for a long time, and some people who were relatively new. And silence was one of the things that we actually talked about. And there were a couple of people in the room who were very afraid, or if the room goes silent, and yet when we kind of talk that through and even put that into, how about if we accept that we can sit in silence for a bit? And over the weekend, there were a number of times where there was just an absolutely beautiful feeling in the room, and everybody is just sat there just in perfect silence. Just, you could only describe it. Well, actually, a lot of the people were kind of talking about how much they had fallen in love with each other. And there was a number of men in the room, and even the men were kind of saying, this isn't the thing normally that a man would say, but, I'm feeling you, and I really feel, you know, a kinship with you, and really, it was really, really beautiful, the space that was in the room. It was really gorgeous, yeah, and a lot of silence.
So nice. I just remind, you know, just even you talking about that reminds me of, you know, being in those kind of spaces. I suppose that's what we try and create, I guess, physically, a space for people to come together and kind of connect in that way, and bring themselves into, you know, back all into the same kind of vibrancy or raise, whatever it is. I don't know that we have any intention, but it's just what happens, that levels of consciousness sort of rise up, like that magnetic kind of effect, you know, where you've got a few facilitators in a room, and suddenly everyone comes to join you. It's like that's what happens, right?
It's incredibly nourishing. It's incredibly nourishing. We don't, you know, I think oftentimes we can be afraid of those spaces, but that's kind of a fear that our mind is creating. You know, that our personal mind doesn't kind of want to go quiet, because it's almost like it stops existing in those moments. But when we go back, and it's incredibly nourishing for everything, you know, health wise, our body, our mental health, all of it. It's incredibly nourishing to touch those spaces within ourselves.
And there's something about, for me, that once I realized that is what was behind all the noise, or behind all the ideas, or behind all the thinking, it doesn't mean you're meant to stay there the whole time. I mean, that's not the idea. Is that it's not pointing people that they're meant to sit cross-legged, you know, on a mountaintop, that just sort of, you know, silent years, because I'm certainly not that character.
Me neither. I mean, you know me, I'm Tigger.
Sometimes it's really hard for me to kind of have that off switch. But in the beginning, when I was first introduced to this sort of community, or any of these retreats or trainings, I was the gap filler. You know, I was
me too.
Everyone a big favor, because they didn't know what to say. So I was very confident, and I don't mind talking when nobody else knows what to say. And seeing now that that's also all right. Like, that's quite cute, isn't it? When we see that, when we run our retreats, I always say there's always the one that shows up, that's, you know, that's that character. And I relate to it, because that was me. You know, Jack Pransky he kind of told me to button it, you know, just whip it up. Why don't you just listen for a while? I said, but and I am okay with that now. But it exhausts. Now that I know what's available behind that, I think when I get into that stage, I'm a bit at that stage at the moment. I'm quite busy. There's quite a lot going on. I'm organising this 1990, and I've got something else coming up, and I get so excited in that space that it's almost like I feel like I don't need to sleep, or I don't need to do anything else. Because I'm excited, right? I'm in creative flow, and I wanna kind of keep going. But, you know, then there's that little voice that says to me, right, come on, pull away, or pull away from the computer, or get yourself to bed, or get out there, walk the dogs. And I could keep going and going and going. But there's something about knowing that, because I see now 100% that the action, the words, the noise, the thoughts, the creation is on top of the silence, the stillness, the blue sky, the oneness, that space. Because I know that space is my backdrop, because I know that that's always available to me. It feels like I can act out more out here, because I've always got that to just fall back on.
I mean, it kind of nicely goes back, you know, all that you've said goes nicely back to the acceptance of being where we are in any given moment. Mm-hmm. And if it feels like we need to speak, not be silent, that's perfect too. You know, there's not a wrong or a right. And what I have seen through, I mean, very much, I don't know if anybody knows me apart from this, definitely, you know, I am a doer. I do not sit still. You know, with the retreat that we did, when we do our retreats, I was doing all the food, all the speaking, sorting the room. You know, I do that's me. I finish speaking, and I go into the kitchen, start cooking the meal for everybody. And I don't think it's not one of those places when we sit still and when we get quiet. I think what I have noticed, what I have seen that is very different about the space from which I do these things now, and we were talking about this as well at the weekend, was it's more as if those things are now done through me. I actually get more done more efficiently and more effectively, because it used to seem to me when I did something, you know, if I was mopping the floor, if I was cooking a meal, if I was anything that I was doing, it used to feel that it was all on my shoulders and I was the one doing it. So I would be doing it with my neck and my shoulders and my head and everything. And it's like, over the weekend, I kind of spoke about it as if, you know, if I had a knife and I was cutting something, I would feel like I had to be the sharp edge as well. You know, I had to put something, and it's like, no, step back and know the knife has got the sharp edge. You're just the hand that's gently, you don't need to put everything into everything and exhaust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, finding that space, and that was what that nourishment gave to me, the realization that I could do those things. They would happen through me, but I didn't have to put my everything that I had into it and just exhaust myself.
Yeah.
So it really, for me now, you know, the amount that when I'm in the space of doing stuff, and as I said, you know, I love to do stuff, and when I'm in a space of doing stuff, it's almost like I never move out of that silent space as well, because the spot, you know, you were saying the silent space is the backdrop. The silent space is where movement, noise, all of it arises, and none of that can be there without that silent space. Silence is what creates the noise, the movement, everything. And kind of being able to sometimes, you know, to find it in those quiet moments reminds me that it's there when I'm in my busiest, most, you know, things, when there's a million things to be done. It's beautiful to know that it's all arising from there, and that acceptance of I can do what I can do. This is where it's arising from, and that silence is there kind of means that in the real, just in the ordinary everyday, you know, when I'm driving my car, when I'm mowing the lawn, when I'm cleaning the house, when I'm talking to clients, when whatever it is I'm doing, it feels like there's no, all of that is there. So that silence, that peace, that relaxation, that space that comes to us when we look to acceptance hasn't gone anywhere. Even in that rush, push, hectic madness, you can, it's there for you. It never ever leaves. And that is, it's so, yeah, it's a beautiful place to be a crazy tigger from, to a doer, a talker.
And it's like slicing butter, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like the knife is a sharp knife that's heated, and it used to feel, you know, that I had to do all of that. You know, there was no heat, there was no sharpness, the butter was solid.
There is something, as you say that, because my character has always been similar. I think the character of Amanda has softened, which is really good for people around me. But but always just, that's naturally, it is, yeah, I have an idea and I bring it alive, and, you know, and I get great joy from that. But I also, what I see now is that I'm not looking for so much praise or recognition, or I used to do a lot, but I would also be telling everybody that I was doing a lot, and I would pat on the back, you know. So I would feel like I was very generous. I'm a very generous character, really, and but I wanted to kind of have the pat on the back, and I think that's something about not needing that anymore, you know, was super helpful, and not having to tell everybody that, you know, I don't stop. Oh, don't stop. It's a bit of a joke. It's a joke in our house. One of Alice's friends, India, you know, and always, every time she sees me, like, there's always something going on. And the joke is, I don't stop, India, you know, I just don't stop. and you know, and then it's funny watching the girls, they're all now, as they grew up, they all started working and they're driving and they're this and that. And then they're kind of flying about from one place to another because they're out and they're social, and they seem to be the ones, you know. And when I see her now, I say, you don't stop, do you? It's like, no, seriously, don't. So, you know, doing continues to happen. This isn't that we're pointing people to sit on the sofa and never do anything and be waiting for this big voice to kind of instruct them. It just, doing doesn't stop. The doer just kind of disappears, but the doing just continues because we are constantly nudged and nudged and nudged. And suddenly we need to go to the loo, and suddenly we feel a bit dirty, we need to have a shower, and suddenly we are hungry, and suddenly, you know, the doorbell rings or the phone rings or something happens, and we're just in the flow of life.
Absolutely, and that's it, and that's exactly it. Really, we are in the flow of life, and we don't have to flow life. We don't have to make life flow. And I think that was kind of, it used to feel to me as if it was my job to make not only my life flow, but everybody else's life flow, and, you know, and keep it flowing and this sort of thing. And now I see, yeah, you know, that flow still absolutely happens, but it's a much lighter, softer, easier flow. And like you say, yeah, very much, I think we are very similar characters. You know, I was very much, yeah, all hail the great Deb, you know, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this, and then yes, and now it's just, you know, I see the sameness in all of us, and I think that is the acceptance. It's the acceptance of whatever that is, you know, if that's who I am, and sometimes I want that praise, and I notice that I do, and that's okay too, you know. I notice that
it's the fact that you notice, it's the fact,
yeah,
I'm fishing for a compliment, or it's the fact that I'm fishing for connection, or it's the fact that I realize when I'm fishing for a comment on something I've written, or it's the fact that I'm checking, like, oh, did anybody watch, you know, did anybody watch that? Or it's, you realize when you're in that, and then it's like, oh, there's a bit of insecurity there or something, that I'm looking at a validation. Okay, where am I at? Step back, step back, step back.
and then we can go back to that place of, you know, remembering what, when we notice, I think the awareness of what we're doing is hugely helpful, you know. And I think sometimes, you know, we become aware of what we're doing, and then it is again the acceptance and being okay that that is what we're doing, and from that awareness and seeing what we're doing and being okay with what we're doing, that seems to be the most effective way that it drops away. You know, it seems that when I realize then, oh yes, I'm whole and complete, like you say, this insecurity comes in. I notice myself wanting people to have watched my YouTube videos, wanting people to have booked on my retreat, wanting people to like me, whatever it is. And then, oh, and that's okay that I do that. You know, I notice that I do it, I'm aware of it. And then I'm reminded that actually I'm whole and complete. You know, there's nothing missing from that. You know, what we see when we fall into that quiet space is, oh yeah, there isn't anything that I actually need. I have everything, you know. And from that space, then it's like, oh yeah, you know, I notice what I'm doing. I notice that I have the thought that I'm not whole and complete, that I need this approval, that I need people to like me. I notice that I do that. And it's almost quite sweet. You can almost quite laugh at yourself sometimes, you know. It's like the cosmic joke, isn't it? It's like, there we go again, there we go again.
There is something about us noticing, there is something about us noticing that everybody's got that, whether they see it or whether they don't, that everybody's got that access as well. And I think that's what's really nice when we see somebody else with their knickers in a twist, or when we see somebody else that, you know, we can, it's almost, I don't know, like there's a little smile from inside to do whatever feels right for us from a place of empathy or compassion or whatever, to just help them settle if that's possible, or let them go and be with their twisted knickers and get myself out of the firing line. That's my wisdom. That's what wisdom is, kind of, you know, points me. So acceptance is the key, I guess, and like, deep listening is a key, and you know, there are plenty of keys that
I guess it's what makes sense to you in any given moment.
Definitely got to go. Alarms going off, but yeah, it is. It's accepting that I live my life by alarms. That's another thing.
Okay.
So say that again. Sorry, Deb. Say that again.
I said, I think it's seeing what's key for you in this moment, and you know that might change. That, you know, that might make sense in this moment. It's all on the table. That's what it looks like to me. If acceptance is helpful in this moment, brilliant. If it's not, then don't worry about it. See, you know, look for something else.
And there's something, as we started talking about keys there, that this vision popped in of this kind of bunch of keys, loads of keys, you know.
Absolutely loads.
And most of the doors are open. So
yeah, we don't even need the key.
You are the master key, right?
Absolutely.
You are the master key, you know. It's like you can peep through any keyhole, you know, and we just, you probably see your own eye peeping back at you. So
yeah, most likely.
Debra, thank you so much, lovely, for your time, and thank you for being that amazing facilitator that stepped in when we had that, you know, that change of plan last year.
Thank you for asking.
Jane Cockrell just couldn't make it last minute, and she, you know, that was great, and it was wonderful. And I'm speaking with Jane tomorrow, so that'd be really nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that'd be really nice. So lots of love to you, and we'll just see you when I'm looking at you.
Okay. We will see you again soon. Take care.
Take care, Debra, and lots of love to everybody. Thank you for watching. This is the 90 series. Lovely. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.